Thomas's day out. Poop poop, today's the day of the soda parade. Thomas can't wait to take the children for a ride. What adventures await him today? Rated M for language, mass kidnapping, violent homosexual train rape, and the murder of innocent children. Must be read in Ringo Starr's voice. I don't know if I can do that, but I'll try and fail spectacularly. Thomas was excited. The day was the day of the soda parade. He would be the one carrying the nation's children from one side of the island to the other. He was really looking forward to having the children ride him. "I'm really looking forward to have the children ride me," said Thomas to no one in particular. Thomas chugged along the track towards the station where all the children were waiting. To his surprise, Gordon was already waiting there. "Gordon, what are you doing here?" said Thomas, and Gordon said, "I am here to pick up the children for the parade." Thomas was upset. He thought he would be the only one carrying the town's children. Why did Gordon have to steal the spotlight? He was such a jerk. But then, Thomas had an idea. Slowly, he backed up to Gordon's track. There was a clank as he unlatched his back train car, directly in front of Gordon. Now Gordon couldn't go anywhere with the children. "Thomas, you idiot! Come back here and pick up your car," hissed Gordon. Thomas didn't have much time. "Get inside, children! I have candy!" he shouted as he opened the doors to the other train cars. Within seconds, thousands of children had scuttled inside of it. Thomas gave a toot and rode off with a grin. Gordon was seething. He let off a hiss of steam, his eyes spinning around and around. He'd had it with Thomas's antics. Gordon was big, Gordon was blue, and Gordon was going to make Thomas his bitch. End of chapter 1. Thomas spread across the island, leaving puffs of smoke in his wake. Though his glazed eyes and frozen smile gave no indication of any mood change, Thomas was worried. He had been very bad. After trapping Gordon, he had stopped at the 4 other stations that have been designated as parade pickup locations, where he had commandeered a plentiful supply of train cars and children. He was now carrying 1 million children crammed into several hundred rail cars. The island of Sodor had declared a national emergency, and the bounty had been placed on him. This made Thomas sad, because this meant he couldn't participate in the parade anymore. "I am sad because I can't participate in the parade anymore," said Thomas. He decided to take the children on a field trip instead, showing them around the island. Thomas would return all the children back to their respective towns after his excursion would be celebrated for years to come. The people of Sodor were understandably less enthusiastic about this turn of events. Thousands gathered in protest, demanding the return of the children. Sir Topman Hat tried his best to reassure the crowd, but his words were only met with more anger. "Just how are you going to retrieve our children from a runaway train?" demanded one particularly angry man. "Harold is currently conducting an aerial search for the children," explained Sir Topman Hat. This statement was not met well with the crowd. "That helicopter won't find shit. This island is too big. We need more," cried out a man. Several miles away, a large blue train with the number 4 on it sped down the tracks. That train car had set him back quite a bit, but there was no stopping him now. It wasn't very hard to locate a smaller blue train. The hysterical cries of 1 million children were a bit of a giveaway. It wasn't soon before he had located them. The small train was immensely slowed by the hundreds of child-filled cars he was towing. Gordon smirked, changing his usual big blue and creepy demeanor to a big blue and rapist one. He increased his engines to maximum speed, closing the distance between him and the smaller train. "Poop, poop," went Gordon's whistle. A warning. Thomas panicked. He recognized Gordon's whistle, and he knew he was in big, big trouble. "Beep, beep," he answered pleadingly. "Poop, poop," was the reply. Gordon was right on Thomas's back, and Gordon had no mercy. Sir Topham Hatt sighed. The man was right. It would take days for Harold to scout the island. "I'm sorry, but this is all we have. All we can do now is hope." "Hope for what?" cried a member of the growing crowd. Topman Hatt took a deep breath. A hero. Gordon hit the back of the car with such force he plowed directly through it and his occupants. The next 489 cars suffered a similar fate, crumpling like an accordion before being smashed to pieces. Thousands of children shrieked as they caught a short glimpse of the bringer of death, a train with a rape face. End of Chapter 2. Chapter 3. Gordon was relentless. He continued to plow through the crate after crate until blows of wooden paneling and children's bodies slowed his forceful rampage. But he wasn't finished yet. He had to stop Thomas. Gordon increased his engine to full power, and with a heave, he lifted his front wheels off the track onto Thomas's rearmost car. Gordon had set his back wheels into reverse, pulling at the small train into his remaining cars. Thomas came to a complete stop. "I'm sorry, Gordon. I give in. You win. Please, let me go. I'll go back to town and turn myself in," pleaded Thomas. "I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Thomas," said Gordon. "Why's that?" Thomas replied nervously. "Because I'm going to make you my bitch." Gordon started humping Thomas's rearmost car. The children wet themselves at the sight of the violently gyrating machinery directly outside their window. "Gordon, what are you doing? Stop!" Thomas cried. "No," said Gordon with a heave. He shoved the train car aside and proceeded to the next one, continuing his fevered thrusting. Thomas struggled to escape Gordon's grip, but it was no use. Gordon was too strong. He attempted to unlatch himself from the cars, but realized he could not. As one of the many frightened children inside him was leaned against the switch, he could not escape. Gordon shoved aside another car and proceeded to the next. But this time, it was different. Thomas gasped as he felt hard steel press against his rear car. Gordon has unlatched his most personal pipe. "Gordon, please, I promise to." "Ah!" Thomas gasped as Gordon fought against him. No train had ever touched Thomas like this before. His wheels felt weak. Gordon repeated this to each successive train car. The sight of an oil-oozing mechanical train penis left the children with irreparable psychological problems. Sally would develop a crippling phobia of all machinery. Billy would continue to wet the bed for decades. Philip would develop an unhealthy fixation on what would result in his inability to achieve an orgasm unless his partner made train noises. Gordon made his way closer and closer to Thomas, his carnal rage building with each successive car. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before he reached the trembling train himself. End of Chapter 3. Does it continue much after this? One more chapter. There was little time left. There were only 2 train cars left, and Thomas knew his butt would be plundered if he didn't do anything soon. "My butt will be plundered if I don't do anything soon," cried Thomas. "Yes," confirmed Gordon. But Thomas had an idea. With most of the train cars and children no longer weighing him down, he might be able to accelerate fast enough to escape. He just had to wait until Gordon let go of him. Gordon thrust violently against the second-to-last car. He was so unable to contain his anger, he ripped the car in two. Now was Thomas's chance. Before Gordon had time to grab his last car, Thomas accelerated as fast as possible. "Get back here, bitch!" roared Gordon. "No!" yelled Thomas. "I may have stolen those children, but you killed them. I'm telling!" Gordon tried to catch up to Thomas, but he had lost energy fucking those cars full of children. He started to laugh. Why was Gordon laughing? "Why are you laughing, Gordon?" asked Thomas nervously. "Ha ha ha ha! You think you can get away? You haven't even seen my true form! Ha 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 ha!" Gordon continued to laugh as his body began whirring and twisting. His rear cabin split into mechanical legs, which Gordon lifted himself into the air with. His coal car fused with his body, incorporated itself into a torso, with Gordon's iconic number 4 on it. 2 wheeled arms unfolded from him and took position at the sides of his new torso. Finally, Gordon's familiar face rotated forward to look at the beaming train in the distance. Gordon smirked. Poor little Thomas had no idea what just occurred behind him. When Gordon had stopped and Thomas had taken the opportunity to increase the distance behind him, there was now over a mile of turns and hills behind him, and Thomas was starting to feel a sense of relief. Boom, boom, boom. What on earth was that? It was coming from off to Thomas's right. Boom, boom, boom. Thomas tried to crane his head to look, but then remembered he was a train and couldn't do such a thing. Boom, boom, boom. Thomas had found, to his horror, that he did not have the crane to see. He didn't have to crane his head to see the source of the noise. From the crest of a nearby hill rose a huge metallic figure. A figure with huge swiveling arms that cut the sunlight. A figure with huge throbbing manhood that swung with each giant step. A figure that caught up to Thomas and lifted him hundreds of feet in the air with ease. A figure whose face spelt only one thing: rape time. Thomas pooped his pants. End of chapter 4. Final chapter. Author's note. Thomas did not actually poop his pants at the end of the last chapter. That would be ridiculous, as planes do not wear pants and they cannot poop. There is no need to worry about poop in this story. That would just be messed up. The children were crushed and thrown from the train as a gigantic hydraulic train penis thrust through the main cannon. Thomas cried out in pain. "No! My back door!" Gordon began moving Thomas back and forth on his giant dick. "Choo-choo, motherfucker," said Gordon as he pounded Thomas. Back at Town Hall, Sir Topham Hatt shouted over the crowd. "I have good news! Harold has located the runaway train!" Sir Topham Hatt pulled out the remote and turned on the nearby television. A grassy field appeared on the screen. The camera slowly panned to the right. Thousands of train cars lay toppled on their sides, covered in blood of children. Splinters of wood and small appendages were scattered around the wreckage. The unlucky few children that survived huddled nearby, all staring at a point further up the railroad. The camera panned to reveal an even more horrendous sight: 2 trains fucking. "Gah! Gordon, my consoles!" Thomas groaned. His face was red, and his smokestack was working overtime. "Chugga, chugga, 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 chugga," said Gordon as he thrust faster and faster. Gordon did not last long. All that foreplay had got him excited. Grunted Gordon. Thomas felt the warmth of the gallons of train semen released inside him. Thomas was going to jizz. "Gordon, I am going to jizz." Thomas jizzed out his smokestack, thickly coating the 2 fornicating trains and the children below. Gordon dropped Thomas onto the ground. His job here was done, and with a click of his heels, the large machine rocketed off into the air towards the setting sun.